the cum laude was a goal that I set for myself, and just graduating in general. Like me and my wife and I, we got plans. I made promises to her, and those promises needed to be kept. So it was good that the running in the beginning gave me the mindset to be able to have the ability to endure when it came to my studies. Because one thing about running is, and I think DJ kind of hit on this, running puts you in a space where you have to deal with yourself for an extended period of time.
That's right.
There's nobody out there but you, unless you choose to run with a group. But
Yeah.
still, I'm dealing with my effort and my pain.
Yeah.
You're dealing with your effort and your pain.
So, speaking of health, 2019, going into 2020, we had a pandemic, right? And that was a weird time for everybody adjusting. I was in school at the time. Everything went virtual, so I was trying to make the adjustment with that. Just being in the house every day, and then the gym was closed, so that was probably the biggest thing for me.
Yeah.
So it was probably around, I don't even know, it might have been a few months into 2020, me, you, and our friend Dre,
Yes, sir.
we decided, like, you know what, we ain't even gonna be confined by COVID. We just gonna start going outside. So tell us what that experience was like.
Man, that was crazy because when you think about the year before, not the year before, I'm sorry, but in 2016, I told you I left the Marine Corps. One thing that people don't talk about getting out the military is if you're someone that was really like gun ho, for lack of better words, in terms of being in that environment and being engulfed in that motivational atmosphere, when you lose that, man, it's like a huge void in your life. So what you and Dre gave me during that period was a piece of that. And I was able to get back into a competitive atmosphere where people, they want to be great, they want to push themselves, because what we realize, and not to talk down about people that are just civilians, but civilians think a lot differently.
I
So
agree.
when you're around veterans, people who have been there, and they understand, your mindset and why you want to exceed certain expectations, or why you want to wake up and do a 10K in 29 degrees.
Right.
Like, it's hard to kind of translate that to a lot of civilians. So working out with you and Dre during that period, it was amazing, man, because it got me back in that mode. And I can recall sometimes where, shout out to Dre, man, but myself and D, we ran Dre out off the track, well, for lack of better words. And what I mean is, Dre, someone who was also in the Marine Corps, he doesn't like long distance runs anymore. And I have to be at fault for that. And D has to be at fault for that as well, because we were trying to compete with each other while we were doing some of these group runs, and Dre was like, "Nah, bro, like y'all got it. I'm not in the Corps anymore." But I don't know. That's just what he brought out of me, and I guess that's what I brought out of him during that time period. So that's really what got us to the point now where we're so appreciative for each other's company and each other's relationship, because during that time, like, I was looking for that and I was itching for that, and he gave me that. So I'm highly grateful for that.
Man, and listen, I'm telling you, great experience. Like, we document everything that we pretty much do together, and the way that our friend group spends the majority of its time is that, we do fitness. Like, we do fitness. Like, we were meeting up every morning, and no exaggeration, we were probably meeting about 5 days a week during COVID, and the bare minimum was 3 miles. It was 3 miles plus. So I think I took a look at it not too long ago. We may have clocked around like 200 miles between that COVID, between the time when
that's
COVID kind of
tough.
shut everything down,
Yeah.
and stuff kind of started opening back up. Maybe around August when I graduated, like 200 miles, and that's not even to mention that sometimes we would break away from running. We'll go run up hills early in the morning.
Yeah.
We used to race up a 6-story parking deck.
And the difference is, this is the difference. So when I was in the military, we had to do that. And what I mean by we had to do it, maybe not to the certain standard that I did it at, but you had to wake up and go run. So we did all this by our own choice. We did all this at our own will. So that's what made it more fun, man.
It did, and then that's not even to mention that some days we were doing 2-a-days. So
Yep.
it'll literally be get up, run in the morning. I would go home and I'm hurting so bad, I lay on the floor, and then I get the text message, "Hey, y'all ready for the second workout?"
Yeah,
We would meet in
man.
my apartment complex and go out to like the tennis court, and we'll go out there and just do like some body weight stuff.
Straight hit workout.
It was crazy, and just something to really keep us sane. So, you know what I'm saying? That's what we call an air. And I remember one run in particular, because Obi, we'll talk about it, but he's really been consistent lately with the running. he been hitting some PRs, but it was one run where me and O, we put the headphones in. We was like, look, we're going to go 3 miles straight, no stopping, no talking, like no nothing. So literally like we locked in, we took off, we ran a 3-mile loop. And then we got to the end. I looked down at the watch, and it's like we just ran a 7:21 pace.
Crazy.
I'm like, what?
Crazy.
What? You know, like it's crazy, but you know, to talk about like consistency or talking about being able to, you know, get 1% better every day. So and you kind of spoke on it before, but as somebody who just recently graduated, so you were a student, that was one of the heavy priorities on your plate. Yeah. You also have to go home and switch hats and, you know, be dad and be husband or, you know, be a great son or be a great brother. How did running or the mentality behind running tie into those other areas of your life?
All right, so I'll be honest. So when I got into school in 2020, it was tough, man, trying to figure out how to structure my schedule around being studious again, because you got to think about it. I graduated high school in 2011. While I was in the Marine Corps, I did take a college course here and there, but you're talking about one course a semester, so real low maintenance. So going into school full-time 2020, I did have to drop off a few things. The running did fall off a bit. The exercise did fall off a bit. But the crazy thing is the mentality that was used to run and exercise on a consistent basis, I just put that same mentality into the schoolwork. So, you know, I graduated cum laude, 31 years of age, non-traditional student, and I did that with a wife and 3 kids.
Come on, man.
Now I have 3 kids.
Come on.
But, yeah, you know, it sucked not running as much. It sucked not working out as much. But, you know, it was a necessary sacrifice. And, you know, I hate to say it, necessary sacrifice, because, yeah, I could have found ways to still get the workouts in more consistently. But, man, the cum laude was a goal that I set for myself. And, you know, just graduating in general, like me and my wife and I, we got plans. I made promises to her, and those promises needed to be kept. So it was good that the running in the beginning gave me the mindset to be able to have the ability to endure when it came to my studies. Because one thing about running is, and I think DJ kind of hit on this, running puts you in a space where you have to deal with yourself for an extended period of time.
That's right.
There's nobody out there but you, unless you choose to run with a group. But still, I'm dealing with my effort and my pain. You're dealing with your effort and your pain, and, you know, all your past experiences and things in that sort. So when it came to those long nights of studying where I maybe was tired or maybe the information wasn't clicking, the mentality from running is what kept me through those things. Because, bro, before joining school, I had already ran 2 half marathons.
Yep.
You know how crazy you got to be to run for 2 hours?
That's fact.
Like,
that's fact.
You could sit down and watch 4, episodes are a little longer now, but you could sit down and watch 2 episodes of your favorite show in 2 hours.
Bro, you could drive to a different state in 2 hours.
In 2 hours. and the fact that, you know, in the back of my mind, in my cookie jar, I knew that, man, you have done this for 2 hours nonstop consistently. You mean to tell me you can't stay up and get the extra study for this test tomorrow? Or you can't stay up and can't stay up and get some extra understanding so that you can get your program working by Sunday?
Come on.
So yeah, man, running it translates to a lot of other things as well, but those are the few nuggets that I was able to use for myself as a student.
Man, that's dope. And, you know, you talk about it, and I think, you know, you're the type of person to really set the example. So I've heard you say before that, you know, I want to be able to show my kids what's possible. So I respect that a lot about you. So for me personally, I actually work with the veterans that are at the college that all of us attended. And most of our veterans are non-traditional students, meaning that, you know, they may come there as a freshman who has already had like a 10+ year career or just a career period. You know, they're going to be older than the regular college freshman. They have family and other responsibilities. You know, they already doing grown folks stuff. They got bills to pay and everything. So them actually being full-time students is way more impressive than what people give it credit for, because I've always said that being a full-time student is a full-time job as well.
Absolutely.
And to be able to go home and, you know what I'm saying, have to take care of family on top of that. So I can respect the fact that you kept your head on tight enough to be able to prioritize and be like, okay, you know, running is there and I always have a good baseline for it, but you know, that's something that I can always come back to. You know, this GPA and this degree is the goal right now. I done made my wife promises. You know, I'm trying to set the example for my kids. And, hey, you did that. So
Yeah.
congratulations, bro.
Appreciate it, man. But it's crazy, like you said, the running, baseline, something I can always get back to. But man, like I did have those periods where, like, man, I'm much slower than I used to be. And I know why. I know exactly why. I've pretty much made an appointment to be in this predicament. But as you can tell, as soon as I graduation was December 8th, I got right back to it, man, because I understand that running is a foundational aspect of my identity at this point. So if I want to improve other areas of my life, I usually just start with running because that's where I can get my creative ideas. That's where I can get my motivation. That's where, like I said, I get that foundational aspect of endurance. So I usually just go back to that, man. Even in periods where, like, I may be a little confused, I may not know what to do, I go out and just run, man. So it's always good to have some foundational aspect that you can lean on when you're trying to figure out how to get other areas of your life in order.
Okay, so look, that leads me into my next question, right? So, as I know right now, you're reading Atomic Habits,
Yeah.
and it's a book that I don't think I got a chance to finish it, but I did get pretty deep into it, and I do kind of understand, and I try to live by some of the concepts that are in there. So, talk about like some of the significant concepts in there and how you've been implementing it lately. And you kind of told me the story, but talk about how running ties into those concepts.
Okay, before I get into that, I just want to talk about how I got into like reading personal development books.
Okay, yeah, let's hear it.
Even in the Marine Corps, I think I only read like military war history books and stuff like that. But when I got out, I worked several jobs, but one of the jobs I worked was as an insurance agent. And although it didn't last, I think I stayed there for almost 2 years, but they introduced me to like this mindset of just actively developing yourself. And it's crazy because I think I was 25 at that time. And one of the things I've learned, I don't know if you've heard this, I might have shared this with you before, but for most people after the age of 25, that's when the brain is fully developed. That's when the prefrontal cortex is fully developed. And like you almost, for lack of better words, are who you always will be. And what I mean by that is your mentality about like who you are as a person, or like the people you choose to hang around, the habits you choose to make, like that's you unless you go through a traumatic experience. And I'm thankful that I was introduced to personal development at that time because I think my prefrontal cortex was still developing, and I was introduced to personal development. So prior to that moment of full development, I got introduced to a life of personal development, a life of growth. So now at 31, I'm still on the path of growth. I still read books consistently. And I got a shout out to my leaders from the insurance agency for getting me in that mindset.
That's dope.
But back to the book. So Atomic Habits, I picked it up right after graduation. I think I read it for a few days, tried to soak some of the stuff in. Then I immediately began to apply some of the things to my life. So one of the things that it introduced to me first was this concept of identity-based habits. Because prior to learning about that, I realized, when I learned about that, I realized that I used to treat my habits as outcome-based habits. So I'm doing this to reach a certain outcome. But the books teaches you to don't do stuff to reach a certain outcome. Do stuff to become a certain individual. And that alone, it sounds so simple, but it's so deep. And it's such a monumental shift because now when I run, or when I got back to running, I'm like, okay, am I running to complete a race, or am I running to become a runner? Or am I running to become someone that's healthy? Or am I running to become a father that can chase his grandkids around? So when you use the word become, it changes the mindset, because if I was just running for this race that we did yesterday, I have no reason to run today.
Yeah, that's real.
Because the goal is done. Like I've already achieved that. But like I said, I want to become a runner. So what is a runner gonna do? He's gonna wake up and run. What he's gonna do tomorrow? Probably gonna do it again. And the next day again, because he is a runner. He has become a runner. So that's one of the I would say the most important things I've got thus far. I think I'm only about 7 chapters in. But something else that I've been able to do in these past 30 days as it relates to running was one of the things they talked about was the 4 laws of behavior change.
Okay.
And number 1 was just make it obvious. And I think number 2 was make it attractive. So I did have to make running attractive again, which wasn't hard to do because I've been here before. The cookie jar is heavy with runs. So I made it obvious I moved my treadmill from the garage to my game room.
Yeah.
So now when I go in the game room or the entertainment room, as we like to call it, as a family, the treadmill is the first thing I'm introduced to.
Yeah.
I gotta walk past it to get to anything else in that room.
Tore down some barriers.
Yeah, man. So restructuring that environment and making the treadmill so obvious and making it to the point where it's attractive, like because it's right there in the room amongst other things. And I would say those are the couple of things that I'm kind of harping on right now. But there's some other stuff too that I can't wait to dive into.
Me and Obi, we ran 4 races together in the last 365 days, right?
Okay.
So I know I told you that Obi, like, he's a very worthy adversary, right? And, you know, sometimes we have like that Vegeta-Goku relationship where, you know what I'm saying, we tight, but look, I want to push the button with you, like, let's see, you know what I'm saying, let's see who can hit this level first. So our very first race a year ago, we was real life beefing.
Forgot about that.
Yeah, we was real life beefing.
Man, okay.
Look, if DJ real nice with his editing, man, we might show a little snippet, man. Look, his wife helped him make like a little diss video for me and everything. Look, they done interviewed him with the pregame, so, you know, we sat there and, like, for them 3 miles, man, we were neck and neck, and then Obi kind of got me on the last little bit of it or whatever. So, you know, you talk about the competition that comes from it and just being able to drive each other, and our group chat used to literally be called Iron Sharpens Iron.